University of Windsor sits on the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, which includes the Ojibwa, the Odawa, the Potawatomi, and the Huron-Wendat peoples.
Hello, my name is Susan Holbrook. Welcome to the 2022 University of Windsor Creative Writing Gala. Tonight you're going to hear short readings from our undergraduate and graduate students in creative writing.
Hi, I'm Louis Cabri, and I teach one of those courses, 2710, the second year creative writing class, and I'm looking forward to hearing my students read, as you all are too.
I'm Nicole Markotich. I teach the fourth year creative writing seminar. It's a class full of eclectic and wonderful writers, and I am so looking forward to this evening.
And I teach 3710, which is the Special Topics Creative Writing course. This year, the special topic was constrained writing. So when those students read, they will preface their reading with a little note about what their constraint was. And I'm also teaching the master's workshop. So you'll hear some graduate students reading at the end.
Okay, so this is my poem, Melancholy and Femininity. The left side of the bed is empty, exposing floral sheets where you once laid. Sheets that I am reluctant to change. I lay alone, yet not lonely, as I could pretend he's still here. Rather than kissing in cars, the innocence of my willow-patterned lace curtains let the sun kiss me through the window. Withered petals from once blushing roses scatter the ground, fragile as first love. Same rosy room, yet the rosiness is dulled. The delicate vanity is cluttered in darling perfumes and expensive makeup that will never help make up. Sugarberry lip gloss will never make my soul pretty, as I can only find beauty in him. On the left side is a pearl-colored jewelry box that holds rubies, diamonds, and secrets. The porcelain ballerina spins on her own, as her eerie song forever fills the room. Our flickering fairy lights that we hung up together begin to dim, but they were never bright to begin with. The nightstand next to it is covered in the comfort of pink rose quartz gemstones and old birthday cards that I read when I miss him. The sage green paint is chipped from Polaroids ripped off the wall, exposing the true colors underneath. My new chocolate hardwood floor makes for stains covered but never cleaned. The floor where we once danced is now missing under piles of clothes, water bottles, and mistakes. Only his favorite daisy yellow dress hangs in the closet, waiting patiently for me to wear again when he gets bored and comes back to me. The flame on the warm vanilla candle leaves like a father as night falls, leaving me cold. In the dim light, I can still see my glass trinkets of fairies and bunnies that I've kept since my innocence, keeping bliss and naiveness. In my basement bedroom, I keep cold, as there is spring with him, winter without him, but there is never summer. Thank you.
To all our beloved skin-wearing students at
University Redacted.
We know these last few semesters at home have been a bust, and we have heard your pleas. That is why we are pleased to announce, on behalf of our jovially humanistic president, the return to our lovely
Redacted
campus. While we all get to return to those things we've missed, like our maintenance centers, our nourishment facilities, and our long-awaited face-hole-to-face-hole interactions, horrible dangers to your lifestyle and well-being still abound, which is why we are announcing our
University Redacted
Social Danger Questionnaire. Assuming you respond no to all of these questions, you may go about your lifespan re-engaging in all the wonders of
University Redacted.
However, if you've responded yes to any of the above, report to
Redacted
Hall and proceed to the Bureau of
Locket. The dust stretches 1,000 miles in every direction, every object choked in it. Knickknacks placed on a shelf lay forgotten, abandoned. An unkempt shrine from happier times, from times with her. Now they serve only as a cold reminder of what was. I think about getting rid of them. Tossing out the trinkets and birthday gifts, our photos from the fair and the bloodied locket. Shinier. It hasn't been there as long. No, she gave it back. That almost makes it worse. Now what am I supposed to do with it? Who would want such a broken token of a dead love gone? It'd be funny if it weren't so sad. I've tried to get rid of it, to get rid of them all, but I can't bring myself to. Can't or don't want to. I'm not sure I know the difference, but it's beginning to tear me up inside. So many things we did together, so many things I dare not to do again without her, in as many places I won't return to. But my room, my God-forsaken room stands like a gravestone marking love's death. The cold blue walls, a vast ocean of misery, and I, a lonely sailor set adrift. A Lego set still under construction rests sequestered beneath a stack of books. Don't worry, we'll finish it next time. How many times must we have lied together in my bed while she spouted off about the dreams running through her head? I want to be an architect, she said. I was so proud. My bride-to-be. Now here I sit entombed in my thoughts while she swims free.
This is an excerpt from my prose poem, Canadian Road Trip. Welcome to Manitoba, what lies beyond the red line. It all looks the same, I don't know what I expected from the imaginary divide. Halfway across the world, the ice is melting and polar bears are dying. Why did it never cross my mind that polar bears could survive in any other climate other than -1.9? I always hated geography class. Forests of white topped in golden leaves, I thought birch trees were nearly extinct. Why can I not believe that things exist beyond my back seat? I didn't see what that sign said. The clarity becomes translucent, polluted by the flames that were always too far away to affect me. Traffic slows as nature burns, too focused on the blur of two headlights in front of me to grieve the suffering around the streets. Preoccupied by ourselves, too busy, too far, too accustomed to superiority to care for anything other than we. Welcome to Saskatchewan, land of the living skies. The golden carpet lays flat after being freshly pressed, contrasted by the blue wallpaper reaching as far as the horizon meets. 2 hours back in time, but I don't recognize what I see. How have I grown ungrateful for Mother Nature's sweets? Our standards have been lowered to 5-star reviews, silky sheets, high-speed Wi-Fi, and smart TVs. When nothing surrounds you, can take a second to breathe and realize that luxury is not rooted in technology.
A fresh coat of paint. Layers, 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 and New Year's lay on a thickly coated wall, discoloring the colored surface and ready to be trimmed. So you take your tools and set to work, whittling, chipping, picking, priming, because throwing a can of paint at the wall will only get you a dent. Piling white on white on white on white on layers and layers of white so that the whole jagged mass beneath is covered. And then you peel off the tape. But when you peel off the tape, you peel the paint off with it too, leaving only bits and pieces of the color you wanted over a shattered wall. Breathe, in and out. Pick up the pieces and piece it back together.
Dear students, your elected student council members have heard your concerns. We too are saddened by the loss of the students, names redacted. We are saddened by the loss of your friends. It has deeply saddened everyone on some level and made many students feel unsafe on campus. The President's office would like to let students know there will be an increase in police presence on campus. Any student may stop by the Student Counseling Center to make an appointment, and students are encouraged to continue walking in large even-spaced arm-linked groups. Students are advised to avoid known goose resting areas, such as in and or around the Chrysler Building. However, classes and resources will continue to be provided in the Chrysler Building. Student-led groups such as Goose Grips and Death Goose are now considered hate groups and are not welcomed on campus. We also strongly advise students to stop worshiping the geese or leaving them offerings. It only makes them stronger and or arrogant. Therefore, all religious ceremonies and or activities are prohibited until further notice. However, we have reason to believe that geese are agnostic. Duck Duck Goose has unknown effects on the geese. In some cases the geese appear stunned, unable to move. In other cases the geese became enraged. As of the date of this email, student discretion is highly advised. All information on Duck Duck Goose is to be submitted to the newly constructed Goose Watchers Committee. As always, escape.
This is called habit. I'll never get this green out. Green, stained under my fingernails, clots the obligation leaking from my summer script. I'm pulling grass, micro-destruction to make the day die sharper. The blade barely grasps silence. Pulling grass, it's manageable murder, but always so quiet. Would you laugh if I eroded into the dirt here, sunk down with the heaviness, unrolled my fists to calm yours? I can't. I'm pulling grass to keep my fingers from tapping out Jeopardy, some musical pressure to dig up a punchline, some cheap and patchy sod to soak up warm sweat on impatient palms. Green never gets me out. I'm pulling grass as you venture into your fertile vocabulary to fertilize what is now ruined ground. Words I pull up and mangle before they even reach the root. Violent claws scything every unmuttered breath, mowing over the oxygen you need to synthesize. And I am sorry. I can't get this grass out. I'm pulling green.
Tulpa. When I hold you, do you feel my hands or the hands of the shadow man? He often sits in my chair, sometimes while I'm sitting there too. When I call your name, is it my voice that breaks through the fog, or is it his? He doesn't like you, you know. He doesn't like me either, though, so don't take offense. When you dry my eyes, are you wiping away his tears or mine? You know I don't like crying. Sometimes I wish the shadow man would drown, but he swims in the drinks I drink. Sometimes I wish he would choke and die, but he breathes out fire from the smoke I inhale in my lungs. Is he my Tulpa, or am I his? He comes from the Black Lodge. Must I then come from the White? He fills my head with creativity, the machinations of an uneasy mind. Creativity, a concept not inherently good or bad. Ideas, stories, characters. He draws his inspiration from me, telling me tales of the evil I have committed, of the sins I have to pay for. His dialogue consists of twisted words, weaponized memories meant to distort my reality. When I tell you my stories, do you hear my words or his? You know he has a knack for twisting what comes out of my mouth. When you kiss me, do you feel my warm embrace, or just your life slowly being sucked out through his lips?
I used the golden shovel constraint using Emily Brunt's It Will Not Shine Again. The golden shovel constraint means that each line ends with a word from a specific poem, so you can read down the right-hand side and read the first poem. How did we end up here? I never thought it would end here. My spirit will forever stumble the silence that enters our room when you do not come home. You always complained that I dulled your shine. I always professed that I would try again, but exuding strenuous effort comes with its own consequential mental decline. It's hard not to be sad when I wasted the course of my life trying to fix someone who was not willing to change. That's why we're done. Change is exactly what I need, and change is the very thing you have no interest in. I've seen how the idea of starting over excites you. You have a thing for temporary solutions. Our last meeting was stale. I perch in the only ray of sunlight while you wallow in the wane of the moon. Then we part. You bear a cold, luminous grin, and your bright, dark eyes shadow the setting sun.
This is a short found poem, Adventures at Grandma's. Black licorice candies in crystalline bowls meet little fingers itching for sweets just to spit them back out. She found her granddaughter digging up tarragon in the garden and stuffing it in her mouth by the handful. Bow strung tight, ready to snap. Point that thing somewhere else, she spoke to her granddaughter, who frowned and slung the plastic bow and arrow over her shoulder. Woven rope scratches barren souls, competitive cheers thunder with each jump closer to the finish line. What do you want to know? What came first, a kiwi or a kiwi? Sun rays slip through the starch-lined lens.
This is a style, so every line ends and begins with the same word. Her back, his back. Her back is her back is her back is hers. Her back will be back. Her back is always back to her. Her back will still be her back when she is back. Back is her back to back. His back is her back is hers. Her back is back to just being a back to his. His back faces her back to two backs back to back. Is this back his back or hers? Her back can be his back. His back can't be as her back is to him. Where is her back? Or is her back his back? A back is just a back to him. To her, a back is more than a back. A back is no longer his back no longer hers. Her back is taking back backs. Is her his or is he hers? But his is his and not hers, and hers is hers, not his. Her back and his back, their back.
Honoring holidays. People make wishes during the holidays. And I made a wish while I held a lucky penny in my ungloved hand. As I held the penny and was pondering about bringing a whole new perspective to society, I internally asked myself this: what monuments of your empire will remain at the end of things? I made a wish for change and virtue, but I cannot reveal the specifics. If I did reveal the specifics, I would bring a curse upon the wish. Why am I so superstitious? Well, anyway, some fairy tales are real. Maybe mine will come true.
This is an excerpt from a poem called I Saw Myself in the Way Out. A line runs, a new line, freshly cut boundary, or hand stops hand. I reach for the flat plane, cold to the touch. This voice calls out an invisible link to mother's skin and warmth. We were once one blind touch. If the touch could return and meet me here, uncomplicated, it would be the single cell and the water. But the mirror has eyes, it appears, mine. Leaning into the glass, embracing myself, closing in on me who becomes it, the reflection seems to ripple as if it would swallow me up. When I was a star, I must have been a star. And when I was a cloud, how did I know I was falling into the water then, as a stranger, looking back through the surface? Maybe the reflection calls me it, too. This tongue where I live, speak from two locations. I say that I double and define myself, me who is calling out in my voice for the one.
Early morning, sneaking out of bed at dawn, I tread lightly as to not wake up the whole house. Grabbing my fleece jacket off the doorknob on the way, I creep past the fireplace, avoiding the 3 old creaking planks on the floor, and slowly peel open the oak door with a small squeak. I successfully creep out onto the deck, and am immersed into the sound of the lake, lapping against the soft, mossy rocks. I feel the wind as it whispers against my ear, tangling through the strands of my hair. I see the sun slowly hitting the branches of the highest trees, casting a tangerine glow. I make my way past the rush of the nearby lake, and make it to the looming expanse of evergreen pines. I weave through the rows, the scuffle of small paws scampering across the forest floor. The crack, snap, slap of branches that are stepped on, tripped over, and catch on my sweater as I walk along the forest terrain. Finally, I reach the outskirts, finding myself at the edge of a tar road, seemingly without ending, continuing far off into the distance.
It's an excerpt from a poem called A Basic Critique Describing Earth. It's an abecedarius using a Navy spelling alphabet, and it's also a tautogram. Actor, an authority at artificiality, asking about anxiolytics, are athletes anxious appropriating a baker's body? Bound by BMI, big booty bitches better beware because canteen catty chats consume calf cellulite. Children cannot conceive carbs circus cinema. Diver, designated drudge, dredges drug depressives during dolphin discoveries. Diarrheal eagle excretes endlessly. Earaches erase everything. Emptiness envelops empathy. Fisher-Price fails families. For findings, follow flailing funeral fathers. Found fluoxetine. Gangway guiding girls gallows-wise. God ghosts gainsayers gibbeted gullets. Halyard haunts hanged human hiding his halcyon hours. Have insects invaded inside? Infestations incentivize invisible individuals into incomplete jockey jerks, jesting, jibing, jeering juveniles. Jokers jam-pack junkyards, jeopardize justice. Knapsack knives, nightly knickknacks, knackered knuckles, lugger lookalikes, little lads, muskets, molest midden messes. Maybe matter made more omits Mars, maybe Neptune, near nobbled Nereid. NASA navigates oyster omelets on board orbital objects oscillating over Oberon. On our orb, pistol prayers purline people's pulse plus property. Parallel people's parlor's polar quadrant, quadrupedal chemic quaffing reefers.
Wet paper, soft stones. Often, the paper people fly towards my home. My friend was the first that told me about them. Since then, they haven't stopped. They visit during the pouring rain, and I know this from the sound of their roaring pain. The paper is waterproof, so is the rain. My friend is mute, and in my pain, I mend my fruits. My mother was often a paper people. She did not like the rain too much, although she played in it nonetheless. Playful paper people picking particular pain. I never knew my mother. However, I knew her rather well. She spoke of gorgeous creations. They were made of paper and flesh. The flesh was like paper, much like the paper. However, the paper was much like the flesh of the people. Looking back, my friend was flesh. Looking back, my friend might have been origami. I never did hate the paper people. After all, they were arts. You can't hate arts for the art. I hated when a man ate my heart. The man was not paper, nor was he man. The man was stone, softer than paper. He ground up my heart and placed it in a pan, and that is the day I turned into vapor. Thank you.
My poem is a trio of stanzas following the cinquain constraint. Lakeside early January morning. Winter airwaves, ice-cracked radio static. Gulls' cello calls fall muffled in pale blue hush. Pearl strings of distant black cormorants skim and tug scattered dance lines above pebbled water. Fairy fog shimmies and sways on frost-sheeted floors. Sluggish and shard-hardened, the lake exhales.
That's when we hear Melville. He's moaning this awful moan. You know, it kind of sounded like Ed Farney last summer when Pink knocked the wind out of him. Like this gurgly, sick sound, right? And the boys and I are thinking, did this youngster eat shit slipping on a rock trying to find us? We call out to the guy and he goes dead silent, right? The moaning just stops. So we're making our way over to where we heard him, real slow so as not to trip. And all of a sudden Donnie screams all girl-like and I say, what's the matter? And he points over to the wood near the floor and there's just Melville's head, looking dead as dirt. And the boys are screaming and crying because the boy looked dead, and I mean dead. I seen bodies, lads, and Melville's wasted head was rotten like a crabapple. But then when we run over to him, we see the fool's just lying down in this massive hollow log with his stupid head poking out. Now, I swear on the Lord that kid was dead when I first seen him, and now he just looks as fresh as Donnie's new baby sister. He's just lying there, not moving, so I drag him out the log and knock him around a bit, right? Asking him what kind of trick he's trying to pull, and the kid all of a sudden just loses it. I ain't never seen Melville go so ballistic. He was going at me full force, and I could take it, right? But the kid's just laying into me, and the guys have to step in and toss him. And we're all saying, what the shit, Melville? And he just sits there and sulks and says nothing. So we start heading home and we're kind of getting lost and we're just tripping and slipping on everything. You know how them woods are. But after a storm, it's like Omaha Beach. And we say to Melville, you know, lead us back to your house. And he just takes the lead and it's like Night of the Living Dead, just saying nothing and marching us out.
10 a.m. start. It is not a pleasant silence. Thick smog warping your lungs. Hot bile crossing your throat. Every muscle taut with a fervor to snap. Then the gun, grunt and grapple, fight for footing, the grass still slick from the night before. A sickening crunch of metal on gravel across the first mark. You attack the hill with malice intent like 1,000 others you have conquered before. A corrupt longing to tear into it with spikes and etch your name into the side. Long strides while you give yourself to gravity and allow her to drag you down. It is a sick satisfaction, passing bright colors as you begin to fly, brief glory. A maddening burn aches its way through your legs, subtle mounds not selected to console but to erode the little pieces of your will. If you are not using the course, then it will use you. How hard will you fight? It would be so easy to stop. Stop. Just stop. That's what you really want, yet you still scream back, refuse. Brain and body run on resolve and resolve alone. There is a moment where you become ethereal. You are a vessel surrendered to pain. Your mind is unburdened. You are nothing but the whisper between each step. Your body has nothing left to give, so you tear it from your soul.
This is an excerpt from What He and I Don't Talk About. We were crossing over the bridge, the traffic congested, cars lined up like dominoes. Maud slept in the back seat, her forehead leant against the window. John sat in the back with her as I drove. A cargo ship crawled drowsily across the river, white steam creating an icy fog. A seagull sat on the rusting ledge to my right. Another one joined it. I imagined hundreds, thousands of them, coming to perch on the bridge, the cars, the weight of their tiny bodies causing the bridge to collapse, the sound of metal crushing in on itself. I had hit the car in front of us, their baby on board sticker staring back at me, John's glare a blur in the rearview mirror. Maud's eyes open, afraid, crying. I laughed and laughed. I was tearing apart the yolk of my egg, its sunshine guts spilling over ceramic, when John asked me if I had ever thought about going off of my birth control again. Yellow bubbles erupting like molten lava, the screech of my knife across the plate. It's just, we could have another, maybe, if I wanted. Maybe a boy this time, as if I could control that. Maud walks into the kitchen, grabs a hold of his shirt sleeve, asks to play outside with the dog. John says, sure, let's let Mommy finish breakfast. Let's put on our rain boots so we don't track mud in.
A diss track for Ben Jonson. Benjamin Jonson rolls over fitfully again and again in his grave whenever I write a poem, because to his classical leanings, which I must confess, bore me to an incredible degree, what I write is not poetry, but rather the ramblings of a romantic whose heart is aflame with untempered passions and a flair for dramatic delights. But Mr. Jonson has been regretfully dead since 1637, and while his verse is appreciated in the Tudor building, he will find none from me. So it comes as no shock, surely, that I write poetry to make his ghost quiver. Boo! Followed by the faint sounds of Ben Jonson calling for my execution.
This is an abecedarious constraint called Rise Andromeda. Andromeda, O princess, does she rise? Boötes shepherds the winged serpents in her wake, and so Cassiopeia, her highness, makes her way with her unrivaled beauty. Draco licks flames, the enchantress scorches head to toe. Eridanus trickles by, sizzling over the ashes. Forevermore shall Andromeda weep. Gress and Tucana sweep by in her solace, twittering melodically, heavenly warmth pulling her to the brim, and instant tenderness envelops her. Jovial tears crystallize her cheeks as kisses tickle the lips of Andromeda, inking the forehead of Cassiopeia. Libra reigns peace amongst life and deceased. Magnificent tranquility bruises Draco. Never does he want to sink within the earth. Orion and Perseus gallop in hot pursuit, yet Perseus champions, macerating the illuminating brood. Queen without breath but princess extricated, rise Andromeda, Perseus and Orion rally. Serpentine fiends shall never stray away from Boötes. Tucana glides alongside Gress, swirling among Andromeda, while unbeaten Perseus carries her to the never-ending universe, where vivid twinkling dots sprinkle across invitingly, as Willow seizes Andromeda's hands, though her heart burdensome. Xenos aids the mourner, spilling his solace amongst the princess, and youth tastes her, yet Cassiopeia is no more. But Zenith cocoons Andromeda, for at long last she is risen.
Hello, and here's an excerpt from Home Office Reminisce. At this rate, I'll never move out of my parents' house. I've collapsed into the overly familiar desk chair, the one by the desk, not the one by the window covered in germinating seedlings. This year is supposed to be strawberries, but I'm suspicious that one's actually a tomato. My head in my hands. There was so much hope for this gig to go well, and it was going well. I thought it was going well. Application and interview conducted entirely over the internet, surrounded by my family's clutter, formal dress from head to toe. Hired. I was hired, and now I no longer had to spend my days job hunting within these gray walls. Or so I thought. Now I'm back, face to face with my family's photos, my parents' wedding, their honeymoon, baby me, baby brother, etc., etc. Am I ever going to have my own space? An area to work where I don't have to be faced with a cabinet of broken technology from the turn of the millennium, or my father's CD collections, or a pile of children's books in the corner? I had a taste, a modicum of my very own office, and like grains of sand slipping through my fingers, I lost it. Thanks for listening.
This is where it began, and where it ended. It's funny how my living room, a place where one is supposed to live, is now a place where something has died. I look around at this space that is full of the memories of us, and yet it feels empty. I used to smile when sitting on our old and faded green couch where we had our first kiss. I would look at each small tear and loose thread and see the memories embedded in these little imperfections. That one on the right arm from when my necklace got caught in the fabric, how your fingers tickled my neck as you fumbled with the clasp. And that one on the middle cushion, a burn spot from a New Year's sparkler. Looking at the couch now, I can see that it is long overdue to be replaced. I take a deep breath, slowly, in through the nose and out through the mouth, and it was meant to steady me. Instead, I choke on the stench of cigarettes. I used to love how that smell would mix with your cologne, like smoked black pepper. I don't smoke, but I didn't mind that you did. You sat in your armchair by the window in the corner over there, and I would sit on the arm beside you, but it has stained the walls and the drapes, both once white and now murky, blotchy beige. I know that it is a good thing that you're gone, deep down past the layers of hurt and anger and frustration. These things that remind me of you will wound me. I will probably throw my back out trying to get rid of that couch, and my lungs are most likely damaged from sitting beside you while you smoked. I know these things will hurt to fix in more ways than one, but I will heal, and I will repair this empty feeling by turning this space into a room that is fit to begin living in.
Forget me. He loves me not. And I suppose you'll want to tell me that roses are red and that violets are blue. I suppose you'll leave flowers at my door. He loves me not. Who made that game about forget me? Knots, pluck, pluck, pluck. Who resigned their fate to a flower? He loves me not. The water turns murky and stems droop. I hang the bouquet upside down, dry the petals, and pluck, pluck, pluck. He loves me not. Who cares? They're only flowers. Rain dance. There is the rain I love. The pitter-patter, what's the matter on my roof. It distracts you from work at first, forces you to listen. I find I forget to listen sometimes, and then fades into a foggy, earth-quenching, white noise. As I wind down for the night, it turns into the rain I adore. When you've nothing important on your mind, not that I often do these days, and you pause the television to appreciate the booming claps of thunder. When you sit under the awning of your porch, a blanket over your shoulders, and watch the dancing lights play tag through the clouds, giving life to the darkened sky. She looks up to the heavens and prays, but oh, I look up to the skies and beg for rain.
Dreams purged of encores in every buttered heart. Morning symphony. Twilight's golden pimples popped. I am laid atop feathers, stretching, hatching, cracking into dawn. Eggshell fragments pierce my skull, lull in sleep, hunger's creep staccato. The cadence of existence, plucked from carton, crescendo against counter, crock-pot, cupboard, chair, spiderwebbing over sunrise, a chip in the cosmic coffee cup, chomping at stars. Knife smears buttermelt in pan. Salt and pepper rains from stormy clouds. The stove clicks, flares, slurs, the shooting star plops to nonstick surface, sizzles, trills, purged of encores. Flips, sunny side up on a platter, falls down the hall, sunbathes in my stomach. How my mind aches, breaks, pours sun rays out of my lips that used to kiss the plate. Pieces of shell sharp against my tongue that used to whisper in its sleep. There's no encore of heaping, leaping, seeping dreams running in my mouth, rivulets of yolk water falling down my throat. Sunrise, sunset. Toast pops up, once bread. Sunflower heads hang dead. Petals mix with grains, whole blend. The kettle whistles, the tongs clap. Encore, encore. I spoon a hole in my chest and butter my heart. Ritardando.
Desire eats with a tongue pressed to the back of its teeth. The holding cell of eternity is public property. We've been here before. The slide of metal on... Try it slower. Metal on... Getting away from us. The shuffle glide of slippers on the ceiling, not yet done anything to quiet the distempered angels nesting on our shoulders. Angel feathers worth like diamonds on Saturn. You been to Saturn lately? Unraveled imaginations find carnies there, bulging fistfuls of tickets under white-knuckled grips, your soul in exchange for a walk on a ring. It's nice this time of year. Or so we hear. Desire would follow us there like it followed you here. Desire wants us alive for the great formal after party in the sky, wants us upright and twisted just right to draw attention from those kind of eyes, wants us shuddered away behind sliding barcodes like metal on skin, stone, and bone. We wouldn't eat the innards of a cement mixer, but our taste buds know fouler words, plotting plosives and freedom in return, remembering the feeling of the elastic expansion of eternity pulled taut between our ears, stuffed with cotton balls to drown out the silence of it all. Desire's serpent hunger, forever written in venom, forever like genetic ink carved onto the rest of us for the rest of it, Ouroboros holding our hands between its fangs, delicate like the injection was an accident.
There are so many books up here, I'm afraid that the weight of the wooden floor will give. The landlord annually donates books from the major Canadian book prizes to a First Nations library. He thinks he's altruistic. I know he is a hoarder. Artifacts he recovers underwater are everywhere. He encourages me to keep business cards, glasses, pens in his empty Spam can collection. He hangs a one-string banjo made from Spam cans on the wall. Behind my bedroll there is a church pew he claims to have rescued from a Calabogie church in the summer of '69. It has over 1,000 magazines stacked on the bench. The walls are covered in cork. Notes about doctor's appointments that he has missed are tacked up there too. Cameras, computers, an empty Mickey D BTS container hangs tight. No one, not even the FedEx guy, will come up here. Neither will my agent, fellow authors, or my friend who delivers from Jollibee. He calls and tells me where he has hid the chicken order on the front lawn, usually by the dog-friendly fire hydrant. I am told it don't smell so good up here. I believe him, but hey, it's cheap. OMG. No, double OMG. If the city inspectors see this, I'll be tossed into a snowbank and my alley door welded shut for the safety of the city. What am I doing here? Stephen, the landlord, has a list, 72 point, of the renting features of this attic bedroom office. Number 1, it is goddamn cheap. Number 2, no rats. Well, not on the 3rd floor anyways. Number 3, no toilet. You use the landlord's downstairs, and he has promised to make sure it is kept clean most of the time. Number 4, it is the cheapest rent you will get at Young and Egg. Young and Egg? What do I know? I thought I just moved into a 3rd floor office walk-up at Yonge Street and Eglinton Avenue. And as I remember, it was really cheap.
This is a poem titled Blue. When my goldfish Blue died, his little body floating at the top of his tank, no more fish kisses against the glass, no more cute fins flapping in the water, propelling his tiny body forward, no more bubbles in his wake, I knew exactly what to do. It was like for a moment I forgot how to breathe. The oxygen escaped me. I watched from the floor, his body above me in the tank, fins cascading downward like orange streamers, a party for the dead. But I knew what to do at the time, so as not to scare my sister or make my mother sad. I scooped Blue out of his tank, into a glass cup that amplified his body, distorted it, made one eye look bigger than the other when I peered in, and then I flushed him. Like I never knew my friend Blue. I said goodbye into the toilet bowl and flushed him, like I knew to do. And then went and watched the pretty rocks at the bottom of his empty fish tank glitter under the light of my desk lamp.
Bigoted people say my skin looks red, and I wonder what it means to be a red skin. Red skin, red blood, red tongue, red cells, red cheeks, red skin, red hot temper, red organs, red eyes, red lips, red clothes, red skin. Red, like the blood that flows through my veins. Red skin, red blood, red tongue, red cells, red cheeks, red skin, red hot temper, red organs, red clothes, red eyes, red lips, red skin. Red, like my temper, the birth of summer. Red skin, red blood, red tongue, red cells, red cheeks, red skin, red hot temper, red organs, red clothes, red eyes, red lips, red skin. Redness of my cheeks with the roundness of a full moon. Red skin, red blood, red tongue, red cells, red cheeks, red skin, red hot temper, red organs, red clothes, red eyes, red lips, red skin, red woman.
Siwa, Kras like krasa, like длинная коса, from the neighbors we see yours, a thick braid flowing down Varvara Sarafan's shoulder, as I fold strand over strand of my doll's cotton hair, stare at Andrei of Tsar Yeremei, freshly freed and far away from well-bound Chuliuda, whose green skin trembles in my bathwater that night. Iva like Ivan Tsarevich, who storms the Stonewall Castle of Kashey, of Beast Gorinich, of the Murky Sea King, where those bony clasps and claws and fins keep Vasilisa Krasota, whose eyes twinkled too much like treasure, whose lips pursed too much like cherries, whose face I wanted to see in the mirror. Yeah, like Anya, like me, in first, second, third grade, whose friends giggled over yellow sponges with square pants, secret Hannahs living Miley lives, teenagers singing something new, during recess, while I weaved between trees, tracking Baba Yaga in her chicken-legged cabin, wondered if I'd meet the standards of kidnap.
Happy Eviction Day. I see the property manager in my windows, the glass, refractions of myself deflected through the open book that I am today. My glue snaps out of the spinal tap, tap, tap. I see you. In section 1 you signed, 1 lease is 1 lease. Well, 1 week is 1 sleep. 1, 2, 2, 3. But please, nothing is affordable. Everything is an F or unstable. I didn't know I was supposed to know everything is an affordable F or a stable of mice leaving black rice in my chef materials. My roommates are broken rental boxes of obsolete blockbusters. We are living billfolds of dispensed tensions, retentive of triple word score interests, and let us not forget the tap, tap, tap of the branches on my window, my potential new roommates calling for the smoke break where we can sing in circles to the tune of hook noose, happy juice, spleen loose, drug abuse, thumb shakes, tummy quakes, notarized empty plates. And I'm late for my other rental the size of a seat. It's class time. My mind echoes simpler elementary sounds, the laughs of play dreams, and I'm tired again in case I wasn't tired before. I leave to a mattress of collapse where the back is lumpy. The feet, knees, ass, and lumbar scowl on different planes of resistance to my memory foaming outwards, but I find that nonetheless, the head sinks pretty easy.
This is my piece, Tip of My Tongue. And we've each got our own... What's that word? He stares at me blankly. What word? It's on the tip of my tongue. I feel it. It's chunky, lumpy, somehow also smooth with a tangy aftertaste. I chew. A bit of a crunch. I know it. I've tasted it before. I wish I could just spit it out on the table for him to see, but it's stuck there. I push it, but it stops, like there's an invisible wall at my teeth line. I open my mouth wide so he can read it, but he shakes his head. I bounce it around my mouth, probe it with my tongue, stab it, caress it, spread it around. My tongue does acrobatics, testing it. Its texture is like crunchy peanut butter, or maybe more like a thick stew with chocolate chips. You know, I managed to say, the word cradled in my tongue, my voice garbled. Each person has got their own unique way of speaking. He nods slowly. There's a word for that. I know there is. I taste it. I Google. Nouns. Too broad. Nouns that are sour and lumpy and crunchy. Nouns that taste uncommon, but a little bit familiar. Synonym for what? Speaking. Way of speaking. Unique way of speaking.
That term they used on that crime show on Netflix, but forensic linguistics. Forensic linguistics. Individual dialect. And then, aha, plunk. I spit it out onto the table between us and examine it. Idiolect. Of course. The letters shiny with saliva. The rounds of the D, O, and C tooth flattened. Thank you.
K-pop English lyric rearrangement, 3rd generation. Starry night, cocktail, going non-stop. Red, red, red flavor. When the bass drop, it's another banger. I'm foxy, like fire. 19. Fat check. Up, down. Be a man, yeah. A real man, yeah. Just hit it. Just feel it. Finally, y'all ready? Wow, wow. Hit it, hit it, hit it, ho. Wake up, wake up. Give it to you. Juice, sweet and sour mixed mood. Brew red, bought it. Hey, yeah, hey, you. Red, oh no, yeah. Hi, weak body. Do you want me to leave? Boy, later. Ow! My lover. Take off. Oh no, leave me alone. Whoa. Back it up, pack it up. I have to go to the bed by night. Yeah, babe. Honey, what you gonna do? Bad girl. Non-stop. Finger, fingertip. Up, down. Coaster, you're such a monster. Friend zone. Pick up the phone. Just get it together. Now or never, pick up. Starry night.
First piece I'll be reading is titled The Frequent Flyer's Monster Manual. I meet the devil in an airport Chili's. She extols the importance of marriage, careers, tipping only 6% for average service. How did she get through security? Is sulfur and brimstone status quo for YYC after 10 p.m.? And what other creatures lurk in late-night terminals? Embrace the ethereal between here's and there's, like the shoeshine guy who says hello every time I pass him by on my path around gates C16 and A whatever, a circle which always leads me back to Chili's and the shoeshine stand, wondering who needs their shoes shined at this hour and if the devil really wears Prada. Maybe the shoeshine guy's an angel, sent to spy, or maybe he's a fae folk, tracing fairy rings from my footsteps between gates, mistaking me for someone like himself, a shapeshifter, centaur, mermaid, half-being who bounces between two cities, borders, bodies. Let me out of your circle, ferryman. I have to find my way home.
Weight distribution. I was 10. Mama tells the border officer, I going to my back home. I warm with shame. Somewhere over the Atlantic, the shimmering atmosphere erases my window. I float on nightlight. We land in Mama's back home. According to Mama, I was born in Syria too. I was happy to have a back home. I cut and taste my Arabic, listen, copy that, try to carve space for the jagged letters, figure out where those hard sounds are born. Relatives say, "Lisan hat'il," her tongue is heavy, always in the third person, myself, twice removed. They call me fat, or they point, expand their arms to hold a hot air balloon and puff out their cheeks. Mama, my second person, responds, "Had kersh al-wajaha." This is the paunch of distinction, honor, glory, prestige, and I feel lighter. She arms me with that response. I didn't even know what wajaha meant. I just knew it was followed by smiles, laughter, a change of subject. I knew kersh meant big belly. They speak to me directly to tell me I'm thinner, and I wish I had a memorized phrase to change the subject. I'm more articulate in Arabic now, but my tongue is still heavy.
We want to thank Catherine Quincy, the chair of the English department, and Cheryl Collier, our dean, for all their support of our creative writing programs, and also Joanne Valuat and her team for producing this video. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much to the students for reading. I hope everybody has a great evening.
Yay!